Hey everyone, it's the Phreaker, and I'm finally settling down from Tom Clancy's The Division hype train. I've played both the closed and open beta of The Division, and I wanted to share my experience with you guys. First, a little bit about The Division. The story takes place in New York City after a terrorist attack in which they released a virus that wiped out a devastating amount of the population. Like any typical virus-based apocalypse story, no one knows who the hell did it, but they have a specially trained part of the military just for these occasions to help rebuild the base, keep the city under control, and find the culprit called, you guessed it, The Division. My initial impressions of The Division while playing the closed beta took a while for me to process, since I'm not a huge fan of shooters in general. When I first signed into The Division, I was pleased to see some diversity in the character creation scene. Unfortunately, only very few customization controls were unlocked, but I was happy to see that they at the very least made an attempt to be inclusive. My version of the Division beta was on the PS4. The graphics were great, but when I see games like The Witcher 3, I feel like Ubisoft could have pushed the envelope a little further on the console. That said, if you're a graphics fiend and you have a computer that runs really well, grab The Division for the PC. The details of your character and items pop more, just like almost any other PC game. However, if that doesn't matter to you, you'll be satisfied with what The Division offers visually. The great thing about The Division is that there is no set single-player campaign. Of course, if you want to do everything by yourself, you most certainly can. However, if you take a look at your map, you'll see little moving circles that represent people on your friends list. Once highlighted, you can join and help out with their encounters and side missions. Once completed, the mission or encounter disappears on both players' maps, which is cool because you don't have to go through the objective twice. If you don't know anybody that plays The Division, there's a matchmaking feature that pairs you up with other players online so you can complete missions together. Admittedly, if the beta is an indication of what we can expect in regards to traveling, we are going to be doing a shitload of walking. Yes, fast travel is available once you've visited a permanent structure like your base or the Dark Zone, but a good portion of your missions will be tracked by foot. You see so many bikes left outside while walking around. You would think that they would make that a viable source of transportation, but moving on. Aside from the assigned missions and encounters while gallivanting the apocalyptic streets of Manhattan, you'll have random encounters with baseball-capped, hoodie-wearing thugs that steal from the newly impoverished people of New York City. They, of course, all have guns, and at least one in the group is confident and or delusional enough to think that running at you with a baseball bat while screaming makes them bulletproof. During the closed beta, it seemed as if the aforementioned encounters were few and far in between, but in the open beta you have the opportunity to kick baddie ass more often, which of course gives you a boost to your XP, and you score some cool items and weapons. If I had anything to complain about for the gameplay, it would be the weirdly extreme difficulty modes. During normal mode, when coming across encounters, I'm not expecting for the enemies to be military-grade agile, hopping over obstacles and somersaulting to the next cover, but I at least expect the AI to be more aware that they are in danger. Don't get me wrong, some enemies floated back and forth between covers, but they were often the very same covers, very rarely using unpredictable tactics. Some enemies gave no fucks whatsoever. You shoot at them and they would stay right out in the open, shooting their gun or rifle without a care in the world. Then besides Suicidal Bat Guy, you have Flamethrower Guy with unbelievable reach. This dude walks up on you blissfully unaware that one bullet to his gas tank spells the end for him. On the other end of the spectrum, when trying out hard mode, picture enemies that act invincible and walk up on you while sporting some ridiculously strong armor. Even Suicidal Baseball Bat Guy can now knock you down with 2 hits. It just seems like normal is easy mode with some challenging aspects, and hard mode is a rage quit festival, especially if you've opted to play by yourself. Playing in a group is about just as frustrating, but I promise you teamwork does help. I did see that certain areas of the map listed what level you should be to have a more enjoyable experience, but that's baby stuff compared to hard mode. I feel like Ubisoft should change the name to extreme mode. That's how difficult it can be. The controls for The Division were mapped like your everyday shooters, so fans of the genre should feel right at home. However, as basic as they were, the controls were still a bit janky. When playing the Division closed beta, I found oftentimes I would end up out in the open when I was behind cover after trying to move to the next object to hide behind and flank the enemy. In the open beta, there was much less of that, but the scale tipped towards the circle button, which is used to climb up or jump over obstacles. I cannot tell you how many times I've died during major battles because I had to be at an angle just right to climb in a goddamn wide open window. Since The Division has almost 2 weeks before it releases, I hope that the developers tweak the controls to make them perfect. Controls can really make or break a game. I can deal with all of these things if they just fix one issue. That's the Dark Zone. For those of you that haven't played either of the Division betas, the Dark Zone is a PS Plus exclusive area, meaning if you don't have a PlayStation Plus subscription, you will not have access to the Dark Zone. The incentive to activate a PS Plus subscription is that in the Dark Zone, you have the chance to roam around freely in an integrated PvP and AI area and grab some really rare loot that you won't find in the regular game. Yes, I am a little bit aggravated that Sony basically put a toll booth at the Dark Zone, but that's not what grinds my gears. What pissed me off is that the Dark Zone can easily become a slaughterhouse for lower level players. Here's how the Dark Zone works. Your in-game level has no bearing whatsoever. Your level in the Dark Zone is totally separate. The Dark Zone itself is separated into several sections, each for different levels. For example, Dark Zone 1 is for levels 1 through 5 and Dark Zone 2 is for level 6 through 10, etc, etc. While in the Dark Zone, any weapons or items that you have picked up are contaminated by the virus, and in order for you to leave with your newfound items and weapons, you have to locate an extraction site, which is basically a helipad, and fire your flare gun. Once extracted, when you leave the Dark Zone, you can access your new loot in your stash box at the base. Here's where it gets tricky. Some people enjoy hunting down others in PvP, others will camp out at sniper points, wait for you to fire your flare gun and shoot you, take your shit, and extract it for themselves, which is fine because all is fair in PvP. I'm not complaining about that. However, what's going to work against the Dark Zone is the fact that higher level players camp out in the low level areas and wipe newbies out. When you kill other players whose name is in white, you are marked as a rogue. Kill enough innocent folk players and you'll gain the title of Hitman. Both roles earn you a bounty on your head, and players will come to see about your ass to kill you since your location on the map is very visible. The thing is, when you've played in the Dark Zone enough, grinded your way to a higher level and dressed yourself with the best weapons and armor, you can take out a whole group of newbies easily. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. And forget about revenge. Most likely, if a higher level player has gone rogue, they aren't alone. I've personally experienced a group of about 7 high level players just killing everyone they've come across, even when you're minding your own business. It makes for a very frustrating experience, and I'm hoping and praying that the developers make some sort of level cap that prevents other high level players from killing lower level players unless they are AI. If they don't, a lot of people are going to have a bad time. They'll say fuck it, I don't need Dark Zone weapons that bad, which sucks because they actually do help in game. So after all of this, should you buy Tom Clancy's The Division? I'll put it this way. If you're a hardcore shooter enthusiast, playing The Division may be a little bit too easy for you on normal. You'll probably get more of a challenge out of hard mode, especially if you're a lone gamer. But if you casually play shooting games, love to play in groups, and don't mind some PvP action, you're going to love The Division. I'll be honest with you, there's nothing much to say about the story. It sounds like every other virus story ever created, but with its own twist. And let's be real here, even though I'm reserving my thoughts on the story and keeping in mind that this is a beta, shooters have never been known for this story. I'm just keeping low expectations so I won't be disappointed. That said, even with the snafus, I really enjoyed The Division. I went and pre-ordered it after the closed beta, and after my second playthrough, I have no regrets whatsoever. I can't wait until March 8th. Did you play The Division beta? How did you like it? Let me know in the comments.